This is the story of a man who didn't just win wars. He rewired how people follow. Julius Caesar conquered all of Gaul, defeated Pompey, and seized Rome itself. But the real question was never what he did. It was how he got thousands of men to die for him willingly. Here is what he actually did. Before one of his first major battles against the Helvetii, Caesar did something no general was expected to do. He sent away his horse. His officers watched. His soldiers watched. The message was immediate and wordless. I am not leaving. Whatever happens here, I face it with you. That single act did more for morale than any speech could, and Caesar kept doing it. At the battle against the Nervi, when the Roman line was collapsing, he leapt off his horse, grabbed a shield from a retreating soldier, and pushed to the front. He called his centurions by name. He fought in the dirt with them. At Alesia, when the Gauls were on the verge of breaking through, Caesar appeared at the front lines in his crimson commander's cloak, and the Roman troops surged forward. He led from where the battle was actually being fought, every single time. But showing up at the front lines was only half of it. The other half was speed. Where enemy commanders took 20 days to build a bridge across a river, Caesar built one in a single day and immediately advanced. His army moved so fast, so precisely, that enemies sometimes surrendered out of shock before the fighting even started. Napoleon later put it into a formula. The strength of an army equals its mass multiplied by its speed. Caesar understood this intuitively centuries earlier, and that speed was not accidental. Caesar drilled it into his men. He would break camp without warning, on rainy days, on holidays, and march his troops long distances for no reason other than conditioning. He never announced departure times. He expected his soldiers to always be ready. When campaign season ended, he let them relax completely. But on march, anyone who shirked duty faced brutal consequences. He was not strict for the sake of it. He was strict because victory required it, and his men understood the difference. When the Germanic tribes retreated back across the Rhine, everyone assumed Caesar would stop at the border. He crossed the Rhine. Nobody had done it. Nobody expected it. The Germanic tribes were terrified. His troops were energized. Rome took notice. He crossed snowbound mountain ranges that locals swore were impassable. He attacked from directions the enemy had never guarded because no rational commander would attempt them. Audacity, always audacity. But Caesar also understood something deeper. He knew what his men actually cared about: honor, pride, the Roman identity. When his troops once mutinied before a battle with Ariovistus, Caesar did not threaten them. He shamed them. He told them he would march with the 10th Legion alone, and that the rest could crawl home in disgrace. His centurions collapsed immediately. They fell over each other, explaining that their hesitation had been a misunderstanding. That night, not a single soldier stayed behind. He knew the incentive. He pulled the exact lever. He also controlled the story. Caesar wrote the Gallic Wars, a first-person account of his campaigns that spread through Rome like wildfire. The writing was clear, almost neutral in tone, which made the propaganda invisible. There was Caesar, the disciplined Roman hero. There were the savage Germanic and Gallic tribes. The contrast was simple, emotionally charged, and impossible to argue against. His political enemies in Rome looked petty, criticizing a man who was out there literally saving civilization. Cicero, his sharpest critic, called the writing a masterpiece. Caesar understood that narratives have to be simple, black and white. The audience cannot hold complexity. Give them a hero. Give them a threat. Make the emotional logic obvious. And when words had to be spoken aloud, Caesar could do that too. At the start of the Civil War, he brought Mark Antony before his troops and wept openly, tore his robe, and asked his veterans if they would let Pompey destroy everything they had bled for together. Men who did not want to fight other Romans marched willingly after that speech. All of it, the front-line presence, the speed, the audacity, the leverage over pride, the narrative control, the oratory, came from one foundation. Caesar genuinely believed he was destined for greatness, not as a comfort, as a fact he acted on. Early in his career, he borrowed a catastrophic amount of money to run for a priesthood position he had no business competing for. His logic was simple. He would win, advance, conquer, and pay it back. He staked everything on a version of himself that did not yet exist. That is not confidence. That is full commitment, and it is the only kind that changes history.